Hello. Will there be a food shortage next month? I can't predict the future. I'm not trying to today. But I would like you to stop and think for just a minute. Think about all the preps that you have at home, or all your groceries, your refrigerator, your pantry. Think about all the food that you bought for the week, to go to work, for the weekend. Think about what's in your cabinets right now. Now, if somebody did come on the news and it was spread nationwide and announced that there would be a food shortage in this coming month, think about what you have and immediately what you would need to do. Ready, go. If you need to pause this for a minute to think about that, then please pause this video and consider that. If there was a food shortage with an unknown amount of time for the ending of this shortage, maybe it could go for months. With what you currently have on hand in your house, would you be able to eat? Would you be able to feed your family, your spouse, your children, maybe some relatives and some loved ones that are near you? Would you have enough supplies to go that long? And if you had a month to prepare, what would you be doing? But not only you, but everybody else around you, what would they be doing? Maybe we've seen a taste of that so far this year. But it's a question that you should be asking yourself. And if you've looked at this channel, and if you're still watching it to this point, there are obviously some that you've already been prepping for this, and some that you're interested, and that you are concerned, and that you are considering, what more can I do? And then ask your question, what's holding you back? With everything that's been going on, look, I like to eat. Let's be honest. If I were to be sitting there and I pulled up my phone or I looked on TV and I found out, hey, my dinner is going to be late tonight, that alone makes me very anxious, all right? I like to eat food. I don't like to miss a meal, let alone going months with trying to figure out where am I going to get that next meal at. So considering the food options is very important to me, and knowing that I have a supply of food to be able to eat in case of an emergency of any type that we have. Let's think, what type of emergencies have we had so far this year? We don't have to sit here and spend the whole video discussing it, but the virus, could that have been considered a blindside that we had in our life, something that we didn't pre-plan for? Absolutely. It was a blindside. With the government shutdown and all the different states with shutdowns and mandatory closures of businesses and staying at home, shelter in place, it was a blindside, folks. It was something that was unprepared for, and we saw some of the consequences of all that took place. In our country, in our society, we've seen riots, we've seen businesses having to close. And between the virus and the riots and businesses with their closures, the unemployment rate, there's ramifications to all that we haven't even seen yet. May not until going into next year, of businesses not recovering, of people still being unemployed. There's reasons with that alone that you should be thinking about, how can I better prepare for me and my family? With the food shortages, I remember a handful of months ago now, it seems like an eternity ago, doesn't it? But it was just a few months back, going to the store and going with some different loved ones that hadn't been to the store to that point, and maybe didn't totally grasp the concept of what was going on, and seeing the expressions on their face as going by aisle by aisle by aisle, and seeing all the empty shelves, the meat's gone, the rice, beans gone, canned goods decimated, the paper products gone, the toilet paper gone, and seeing the expression and the realization as a wave came upon them, of seeing the reality of this could happen here in America, in my town, at my stores. Yes, it can happen. storms, hurricanes, you name it, all the different things that have gone on in our nation and can happen in any state, anywhere. Yes, some states might experience other things that some states don't, but as a whole, the world just has a way of throwing us that curveball, doesn't it? Sometimes Mother Nature throws that curveball. We weren't prepared for it. So I'd like to talk briefly about two different groups. If you're listening today, you might fall in the category, you might be in that group that you've already prepared. You've already been preparing. You might have been doing this for a lifetime. First of all, I'd like to thank you. To many of you, people like you that have went maybe before me, that I followed in your footsteps. I've gained information, I've listened to advice, and it's helped guide it and shape who I am today. And if you fall in that category, going through what we've gone through this year, you might need to take a minute, take a time out, and hey, we've kind of gone through a little bit of something. There may be more down here, but you know what? I'm excited. We have time. We have time to prepare now. And if you've already been preparing, take time to go back through all of your stock. Take time to reorganize. Go back through, check and see what have you rotated, what have you not used yet, and start taking this time to maybe go back out and replenish some of those lost items that you've already used, that you had to tap into with the shipments and stuff being delayed at the stores and things that have been hard to get because everybody's bought them. Take that time out and don't give up. Don't quit in your prepping. If you've been a prepper, sometimes it gets weary, it gets hard. Where am I going to store this stuff? And constantly rotating and constantly checking this and having to order this and shop for that. But don't get tired in it. Keep pushing through it. Yeah, we've had some bumps in the road this year, but we can persevere. We can push through any obstacle. Now you say, well, I've lost my job. I don't have the income I used to. And maybe right now I have no income. Maybe I wasn't able to pay rent on my house or my place of dwelling for the last few months, and I don't know where I'm going to live. Look, we're in rough times right now, but you can't quit. You can't get discouraged. You got to push yourself through it. You have to just stick your head up high, roll up your sleeves, and just get to work and start pushing through the hard times, pushing through the obstacles. And there will be some light at the end of the tunnel. I know that's a cliche, but you'll make it through, I promise. But don't quit. Don't quit with your prepping. Don't quit getting prepared, because we have no idea what could happen next month or at the end of this year or going into next year. Don't allow yourself to be blindsided. Go into these obstacles with a state of preparedness and being prepared. The second group I'd like to talk to, and I want to spend a little bit more time with this second group, is maybe you're watching this video, and when I asked you that question at the beginning of this video, you realized I'm not prepared. And I've been wanting to do it, I've been procrastinating, I've been putting this off for a long time. And maybe you said, now it's time. But I don't know where to begin. I see other people's videos, I see people advertising online, and they talk about all these big pantries and maybe cellars just full of stocks of food and just buckets after buckets of food and water to the ceiling, and it just seems so overwhelming. And I'd like to break it down for you on this particular video and try to simplify it for you. I want to encourage you, if you're still watching the video to this point, I want to encourage you to take that first step. And by doing that first step, then you can concentrate on the next step. And then after you complete that next little goal, then you can follow and step into a new goal. And you don't have to take it all at once, especially because, let's be honest here, a lot of people don't have just extra money just laying around that you can just go buy stuff anytime you want. But in the same sense, you don't want to wait until the next event and then make that your choice to go to the store, and then you're fighting the crowds and the empty shelves, and you find yourself not getting everything that you need for you and your family. So take this opportunity now. If you could do this, I have this little container here. This little container usually has a lid you can pop right on it. Could you say, wow, I could fill that with some backup stuff. Now you want to keep an eye on it because you'll want to check the dates and make sure you're rotating your stock. Don't fill up a bucket like this with stuff that you'll never eat or that nobody wants, the kids doesn't like, that you would really never touch. But if you have some stuff in your house, and I'm thinking back at the time when I first started, my first item right here, peanut butter. I don't know, not everybody likes peanut butter. I love peanut butter. And if you happen to like peanut butter, I'd get this, start with this. Get an extra one, not one that you keep in your pantry, or you have a backup that you always have so you never run out in your pantry. I'm talking about a stash. Put it in the bucket. Now remember, while I'm thinking about this, make sure this stash goes in your closet, up on a shelf, and in your house somewhere where it's cool and dark, but out of sight from you and from maybe your family members, especially if you have teenagers that might find themselves wandering into this stash and taking some stuff out of it because they're hungry, or maybe you didn't get something in the pantry and now all of a sudden everyone's just grabbing this stuff. So make sure you keep this put up somewhere, but not that you forget about it. So you got your peanut butter. You know, you're going to the store maybe the next week because, again, you're on a budget. So on the next week you go, you know, my house, we can eat chili from time to time. So you decide, you know, I want to get a couple cans of chili, and, you know, we put that in our little bucket. You know, and while we're there at the store, you know, they had a good price on all these vegetables. You know, you got your green beans here, and then you happen to see, oh, you know, they're stocked up this week. This is a good week that the stores are stocked, and I get some peas and carrots and corn and, you know, spinach, right? Everyone likes spinach. So, you know, you stock up a little bit, and you add that to your bucket. And, you know, they've got a couple years life on them, so you're good. And the next week, you know, you get a couple extra cans of soup. You're not breaking the bank. You get a couple extra cans of soup, you put that in your bucket, all right? Maybe, you know, hey, this stuff's here cheap, real cheap. This and your pasta. You got pasta, right? You got that, and you have the sauce to put on it. It's very inexpensive, folks. If you go to the store and you're picking this stuff up, and I know, look, we're all busy in life. I get it. You're like, look, I've got kids, I got a job, you know, I've got the housework, you know, we've got all the stuff going on in the world, and the anxiety and the stress and stuff, and family, and just there's just so much going on that this is something else now I got to think about. Folks, it takes work. It takes action. You have to put it into action. You have to do it, and you have to be committed to do it. You have to be prepared to rotate your food and to make sure you're stocked, and to continue that journey of being better prepared once you reach your first goals. But when that time comes and you need it, you're going to look back and say, wow, I'm glad I did it. You go back to the store the next week. Man, meat in a can. You know, I like this stuff. Chicken breast. I could use this on salads. I can use it in casseroles and make recipes with it. You know, I picked up an extra box of oatmeal. Threw that in my stash. I mean, that's great. You need some stuff for breakfast. You know, the kids, or, you know, even me sometimes, I like to grab a quick little can of some kind of a Chef Boyardee. So they had a little 4-pack there. Bought that and threw that in, no problem. That was only, you know, a couple bucks, real cheap. And I'm not breaking the bank on that. So, you know, I walk over to the rice and the beans, and I'm like, man, this stuff's pretty cheap, but, you know, it could go a long way. It could add a lot of extra food and some proteins to my meal. It's nice to have that stuff, and it keeps for a long time. And then, of course, you know, you hear a lot of people talk about the ramen noodles. It's a go-to, easy, quick thing, and I just grabbed a few. You know, was that, $1? So all of a sudden, look at this thing. It's already full. Now, can you do that? Is that something that you're capable of doing? I think it can be. And let me just be an encouragement for you to get started on that, and just be prepared for what's to come. Look, again, I'm excited. We have time. I'm not expecting or planning that there's something bad to happen, but you know what? I'm not going to be blindsided. I'm going to take responsibility for myself and for my family, and to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can in my power to be able to supply the basic needs of life. And then you go from there. So if this video was in any way, shape, or form a help to any of you, or an encouragement, and you'd like to see more videos in the future, it would sure help me out a lot if you'd hit the subscribe button right down there and that little bell, and just click, you know, and if you like it, thumbs up. If you thought this was dumb, you didn't like it at all, hit the thumbs down. Either way, I like the attention that you're encouraging me one way or the other. And I appreciate it very much. Y'all have a good one.